Aron Solomon is a digital strategist and adjunct professor at McGill University. He joins us now live from Montreal, Canada. Thanks so much for being with us. You know, the primary argument in Trump's defense is that it is unconstitutional to try him simply because he is no longer in office, even though the crime was committed when he was. Is he getting off on a technicality?
There's no technicality. That's an absurd legal argument. This part of the conversation is very, very, very fast today. He did these acts, alleged acts, when he was in office. He can be impeached. End of story.
You know, it's funny, though. I had this conversation with Dershowitz, of all people, who says, no, it is absolutely unconstitutional to try him because he's no longer in office. If you do so, that will open the door to any number of former politicians being tried for crimes they committed while in office. He gave Hillary Clinton as an example, saying the Republicans could easily go after her. But then again, in her case, she was not in office when she was impeached.
Professor Dershowitz is a very eloquent speaker and probably has some political and legal interests that I don't in making my comments. There is absolutely nothing wrong with trying former President Trump in the Senate starting tomorrow.
So you think the rule should be, as long as the impeachable crime was committed while active in office and he was impeached while in office, that's why I consider it a technicality, for example, just because there's a 2-week difference between the time he left and the time of the trial, that shouldn't hold up the process.
Well, again, it's not what I feel the rule should be. This is the rule. He's being tried for things that he did in office. Now, what actually is going to be the result this week, I think, is a very, very different story from should he be tried or should he not be tried.
Okay. So what do you think will happen this week? I mean, we have to be honest, he's not going to be convicted. There's almost, it's virtually impossible to get 17 Republicans to vote against their own party. And what scares people there is that it does set the example that you can commit an impeachable crime, know that you'll have no consequences as long as your party has, less than 2/3, it does not have 2/3 of the Senate.
Right. You raise such a great point. I want to know what kind of crime the Republican senators would deem impeachable. This is really, really bad. And you're right, there's no way they're going to get 17. In fact, a lot of people predict there may be 7, 8, or 9. They're not even going to get this many. It's going to look exactly like the last impeachment trial did. And I think that really doesn't speak well for the rule of law.
And, many thought this would provide an opportunity for the Republicans to kind of lose Trump as a liability by banning him from holding office again. But it certainly appears that they're not really interested in that either. Why so?
I think there's two things. In the lead up to this piece, they talked about senators who are running for re-election in 2022 not wanting to make themselves vulnerable to be primaried by perhaps a more right-wing politician. That's one thing. But I think that there's just an institutional lack of courage in Congress, both in the House and the Senate, that we're seeing play out. And from the Democratic side, I think really, really poor strategy. The poor strategy that we've seen over the past 4 years is not getting any better. And this Senate trial this week is case in point.
Let me ask you this. This is kind of a tangent here, I know. But given that Trump has fought with, members of the Republican Party, and in his heart, he must know that they don't accept him, given how much they despised his candidacy in the first place. Would it be possible for him to start kind of a fringe party of his own that could possibly really derail, I guess, the right wing of U.S. politics?
I actually strongly believe that and have written and spoken about that a lot in the past couple of weeks. I think 2024 is going to see a relatively strong third-party candidate. Not as strong as Ross Perot, who got 19% of the popular vote when he ran, but imagine a third-party candidate that would even get 1/3 of that, let's say 6% of the popular vote. If that 6% is being drawn primarily from the GOP, that is going to make the difference between victory and defeat in 2024. Absolutely.
Okay, Aron Solomon joining us there. Thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it.